Chapter 4, Subchapter 8, and something clicked. I began to closely examine how people live their lives. Most followed the same predictable path. I studied this path carefully, and it wasn't an unreasonable path. It kept the masses in line. Society, community, family, and friends, reinforced by religion and peer pressure, convinced people that this was the proper way to live. But for me, I realized something extraordinary. I could step on and off this path whenever I wished. I analyzed the laws of man and God that were presented to me. I understood their purpose to maintain order and control the masses. But absurdism had taught me the necessity of rebellion. At the same time, my inner self reminded me that my rebellion wasn't about harming others. It was about living my life on my terms in the short time I had on this planet. Footnote 25. Albert Camus said, "I rebel, therefore I exist," in his book, The Rebel. Camus argued that rebellion against the absurdity of life affirms our own existence. We return. As I grew more confident in my perspective, life became clearer, and with that clarity came happiness. I pushed limits, faced fears, and found freedom in embracing life fully. Boys, let me share a silly little story from those days. I had a ridiculous fear of spiders. If I saw one, I would leap onto the nearest chair and squeal like a child. But in my new mindset, what I called myality, there was no room for fear of any kind. Determined to conquer this phobia, I went out searching for spiders. When I found one, I stripped down and let it crawl across my bare torso. At first, it was a horrifying experience, but I faced that fear head on. Fears are for the unevolved. Fears are for those who simply exist, not for those who truly live. Now, more than 30 years later, I still can't bring myself to kill a spider. Instead, I carefully capture them and release them outside. Today, spiders remind me of my once ridiculous insecurities and fears, how I identified them, faced them, and ripped them out by the roots. I was my own man. I didn't need anyone to make me happy. My happiness came from knowing I had conquered my fears and was relentlessly focused on becoming the best version of myself. I am a confident man, I was telling myself, and I was proving it to myself. I must emphasize something. I believe in my own words because I hit rock bottom and found a way to pull myself up, to give myself a reason to live. I have achieved immense happiness in my life because of one core realization. At the end of the day, I am insignificant. To be insignificant means you have nothing to lose by trying. It means no one can hurt you because their opinions are meaningless. It means you can't sink any lower, but you can certainly reach for the stars. This understanding gave me a newfound confidence. I had nothing to lose and everything to gain. When my eyes opened, I saw that the world was full of bullshit. People were trapped in their daily struggles, assigning far too much importance to their trivial concerns as if their problems were the most critical matters on the planet. This clarity led me to shed sentimentality and embrace a cold pragmatism in how I viewed the world and the people around me. Insects don't waste time on drama, fear, or regret. Insects wake up with a clear purpose and focus solely on the task at hand. In many ways, I became that insect. I committed myself to evolving and proving my capacity for growth. Courage and confidence became my daily mantras. Thank you, Eve. I couldn't have done this without you being the spark that lit the fire in my mind. University became my petri dish. I studied the people around me, observing their insecurities and fears. They were laughable, and the arrogance I developed during this period seeped into my diary entries. Looking back, I recognize that pride, but I also see how it began to fade. Over time, my coldness towards humanity softened into pity. I pitied people for being trapped by their inability to change. Eventually, that coldness disappeared entirely. Throughout this book, you will find my observations of my fellow humans. If you think my words are harsh, know that my views evolved, especially after I became a father. During my university days, I watched average Joes freeze at local watering holes. With beautiful women surrounding them, men still hesitated to make the first move, paralyzed by their fear of rejection. Once I discovered the truth about life, that humans can't succeed without being willing to fail, and that embarrassment is a meaningless construct, it became effortless to strike up conversations with anyone. My confidence soared because I simply didn't care if someone rebuffed me. At one point, I stopped approaching women who were alone and began focusing on groups. 2, 3, even 4 women at a time. It was a thrill to walk into any situation where multiple pairs of eyes were ready to judge me. My confidence had nothing to do with my gifts. Confidence was born from a shift in my attitude towards life, a conscious decision to push myself, face challenges head on, and embrace the discomfort of growth. What did I know about women in those days? Honestly, not much. But I was fearless and ready to fail. For me, failure wasn't about winning or losing. It was about proving to myself that I was unafraid of ridicule. It was about proving to myself that I was alive. And once again, to you, average Joes, you don't need a gift to connect with women or anyone else. What you need is to free yourself from your fears. The last years of university passed quickly. After graduation, I frequently visited the compound, returning 2 to 3 times a year, especially if I knew Eve would be there. Sons, I'm sure by now you have come across albums of our Christmas dinners and Chinese New Year celebrations. Yes, I had my own style back then. Think of it as somewhere between a young Al Pacino in The Godfather and Paul Newman in Cool Hand Luke. Slicked back hair, a stylish selection of vests, and my signature cowboy boots. Completely out of touch with modern fashion, but I did not give a shit. I was loving who I was.